I started this all-time from 1988, 86 till now of every team. I started with the Mets. I'm a diehard Mets fan, my favorite team. Then I went with the Braves. Why the Braves? They were competitive, we'll say twice at the beginning. You could remember Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and then later on with Freddie Freeman and company, they were also good. They won the World Series. And now I went with the Pittsburgh Pirates. After or during the first phase of the Braves, I found that the most competitive team in the National League against them was the Pittsburgh Pirates. They almost beat them. Almost doesn't exist. Now, I thought it was going to be easy building the all-time Pirates from that time frame till now. There's a couple of things that I realized. The Pirates only build players for 4 years. After that, they're gone. Especially now. Number two, the players that they sign are probably for 1, 2, 3 years. That's it. So it's hard to build a team with players that have so long, an extensive career with that specific team, unless they're not that good. For example, Chipper Jones with the Braves, John Smoltz with the Braves. We could also look at the Mets back then with Darryl Strawberry, at least 6, 7 years. And now it gets diminished. That means that the stats are lower and it's harder to pick players. But I'm still going to pick my top players. And I didn't put a lot of stats. I actually didn't put stats on these. These are just players that I said, you know what, I remember that player. But like I said, it's a hard video to make. And now I understand why, if there's a lockdown or whatever the case might be, that they keep the rookie contracts to 4 years, 5 years. So these teams in the bottom are able to compete. Paul Skeens with the Pirates, and we could go on with other players that they had to groom them and try to maintain so they could have at least a 1-2 year window. Because after that, they're gone. I know you're saying, well, that's 4 years. Yes, but the first 2 years, you're basically developing them. At catcher, I had Jason Kendall. There was no other catcher that I could put besides Jason Kendall. I used to like him a lot. And he's the one that popped out the most for me. At the beginning, when I first started making this video, I thought about Tony Pena, but Tony Pena didn't play a lot with them. Tony Pena, for me, I remember him with the Cardinals. First base, this is the hardest one. I know there's Adam LaRoche on it, but for me, I felt that Gary Jones had the wider and a more reasonable way to say, you know what, this guy was pretty good. As an example, I know I wasn't going to look at stats, but I just want to cover a couple of them for at least some players. And now the reason I wanted to make the Pirates, because I actually thought they had a lot of good players, because immediately when I thought about the Pirates, I thought about Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke, Bobby Bonilla. That was one of the best outfields out there for me. In that generation, I can only think of a few that might beat them, but I thought that was the best outfield out of all of them. One of them didn't make it. Now, with Gary Jones, he did play 5 seasons with him. As you can see, the window's small, and he had 3 years of 20-plus home runs. That's why I put him over Adam LaRoche. Adam LaRoche, he didn't have that much. And at second base, after this, it kind of gets easy. Because second base, I put Neil Walker. He's the one that I think the most out of all the second basemen that played for the Pirates. Third base, I like O'Neal Cruz, even though he's an outfield. He's right now playing with them as an outfield with these 3 acquisitions. I think this is going to be a good year for him. And this is just going to pump him more to make it believable on my Pirates all-time lineup. Third base, this is what I was thinking of putting Bobby Bonilla, because Bobby Bonilla at the beginning played third base. I like Bobby Bonilla. Mets fan, I know people don't like him, but I used to like him before he got to the Mets. Even with the Mets, I liked him at the beginning. But I know that the deferred money, people don't like that, but that was brilliant. Third base, I had to put Pedro Alvarez. He had that solid year. I remember that solid year with the Pirates. Let me look it up right now. And that's what made me say, you know what? That and not having another good right fielder to put made me keep Bobby Bonilla at right field and have Pedro Alvarez at that position. He had 36 home runs with the Pirates. He played, once again, only 6 seasons with the Pirates. Most of these players don't have a lot of years with the Pirates. 6 years, probably max. 36, he led the league with 36. But then again, he led also as strikeouts. But like I said, I remember that for them. It's hard to find another third baseman that was better than him from that time frame. I know people will say Robert Clemente, Willie Stargell, and the list could go on, but this is from my generation. The outfield, like I said, Bobby Bonilla, for me, this is one thing about Bobby Bonilla. And even though Barry Bonds was better, Bobby Bonilla was a free agent first. And everything was going on with Bobby Bonilla. And next thing you know, boom, the whole attention goes to him. Meaning that even if you may say he was not better, being a free agent makes you pop up more. Just like this year, Kyle Tucker is out there. He got a high salary, but is he really worth that much compared to other players? No, but the supply and demand for this year was high. And let me tell you a couple of things about Bonilla, since I already know who the other two outfielders are. And once again, I was a fan of Bobby Bonilla. And if you're not a fan of Bobby Bonilla and you're a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, then you're not recalling what the last time that the Pirates were good. Not great, but good. Looking at his stats, just looking at the Pirates. With the Pirates, he played 6 seasons. Once again, short. Home runs, he had 24, 32, 200, 100 home run RBI seasons. And he was a candidate for MVP 16, 14, number 3 and number 2 during a span of 4 years with the Pirates. And an all-star during that time frame. That time frame was from 88 to 91. Like I said, it popped out. Now, I used to like Andy Van Slyke. He was also a Cardinal before he went to the Pirates. But you cannot decline or say, you know what, I'm going to replace Nº.1 for Andy Van Slyke. I know right now there's a lot of things going on. He's probably the most years that have played with the Pirates that I put in here. Probably the most. 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons. A couple of 20s. We'll say about, I believe it's like 5 seasons to 20s and then a couple of 30s. Let me count them right here. It's 5, 6 seasons and 20 home runs. 5, 6 seasons with 20 home runs and 1 over 30. Hits, he had the most in 1 year with 194. Once again, this is probably the guy that had the longest tenure out of everybody that I'm putting here. So it's hard to say no to him. And for left field, it's obvious who I'm going to put. It's Barry Bonds. We have to remember Barry Bonds. People will remember him as a Giant. But for me, I remember him also with the Pirates. With the Pirates, he played 6, 7 seasons. He didn't hit a lot of home runs with the Pirates. That's after San Francisco, during the San Francisco era. Over here, he hit 20s, about 4 seasons, 1 with 30s. But one thing that you need to focus on, actually 2 seasons with 30s, and those 2 seasons he was 30 for 30. And most of the years over there, he had, how can I say this? He had a lot of stolen bases. And his OBP was going high. And maybe, how can I say this? And maybe I wasn't focused a lot on Barry Bonds, like in Bobby Bonilla. Like I said, Bobby Bonilla was the first free agent. He's attractive. Number two, once you take the legs out of your number three hitter to the number four, or the number four on the number three, you're not getting that protection. Yes, you're getting all these numbers, but your team is no longer that good. So, how can I say this? On certain players, I'll give an example right now. I'm just thinking on top of my head of bad teams right now. Yeah, I wanted to say the Angels with Mike Trout, but everybody knows Mike Trout. But there's bottom teams that there's an all-star player that you don't know how good they are because that team is not highlighted. They're not nationally broadcast. And that was happening with the Pirates after Bobby Bonilla left. I believe the last one out of those three was Andy Van Slyke, but don't quote me on that. But the Pirates, 92 was his last year. So that's my infield, my batting lineup for the Pirates. With the Pirates, this is the lineup that I have as of right now. I have Jason Kendall, catcher, first base, Gary Jones, Neil Walker, second, O'Neal Cruz, shortstop, Pedro Alvarez, third base, Bobby Bonilla, right field, Andrew McCutchen, center, Barry Bonds, left. Players that didn't make it are Brian Giles, Andy Van Slyke, Jason Bay, and Sterling Marte. The outfield was already set. It's hard to put these players in there when the outfield is Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonilla, and McCutchen. When it comes to pitching, this is where the stats also get very diminished, and you have to focus on the pitchers that pitched the longest or the pitchers that had success on a short period span, that even 2 years will make it on this cut. For me, the number one, and this is hard because Paul Skeens, but it's Doug Drabek. Doug Drabek in the 80s, when the Pirates were great, he was their ace. He was the top pitcher. And his son made it I'm not going to say he made it to the majors, but I know he got drafted. Paul Skeens, I want to put him number two because of 2 Cy Young Awards. You cannot beat that. His ERA is low. 2 seasons only, but like I said, the window is small when you're good and you're on a team that cannot afford you. And that's why I put him on number 2. Number 3, I believe he's going to be a Hall of Famer, Gary Cole. I had to put him in here. As a matter of fact, him and the following player, I believe, are the highest tenures out of all of them. And I'm going to double check on him. Alright, stop on this one. But with the Pirates, he did pitch 5 seasons. Once again, the rookie contract. He had great numbers. He did have 19-8 season. But then after that, you look at his numbers, they're not great, right? Because there's no runs. If you don't have runs, your record is going to be 10-7. 11-5 is great. 7-10, 12-12. That once you go to the next team like the Astros, teams are going to realize how good you are. If you look at his stats, once again, 202 strikeouts, 196 strikeouts. His ERA was 2.60 at one point, 3.88. Hopefully this is understandable why these players, these owners, I don't want to get into the lockouts and all that because I know it's happening this season, but Gary Cole, now Paul Skeens, and Doug Drabek, and the next one I have to put, this is where I was struggling on who to put, but I had to put Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller is the next player that I had to put. He has a good career with the Pirates. I believe that now he has 7 seasons with the Pirates. Some of the numbers don't pop out, but he's been there that I have to say, you know what? I have to put him over this player because he has a longevity on that team. And the last one, and this is one of the players that I thought of putting with the Braves, because at the bottom end, yeah, you have Maddox, and I know this is a Pirates video. Maddox, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. And after that, you have to think a little bit on who you want to put. Do you want to put short span with good years or long span with decent career? But over here, Danny Nagel made the cut for me. I like it. So now I have Paul Skeens, Doug Dravac, Gary Cole, Mitch Keller, and Danny Nagel. Those are the players that I put. Those are the players that I'm sticking with on the pitching. Once again, I'm going to cover the hitting and the pitching. So this is not the greatest, but I thought it was going to be great because they were good at one time. They were the top team in the East. Yes, the Braves were on the West, the Dodgers were on the West, but my favorite team was the Mets, and I remember the Mets not being good and the Pirates being good. There was no pitcher that I thought should make it over these players. Maybe by a little margin, but not significant for me to say, you know what, this player should make it, or I should bring him up at the end. Once again, the lineup: catcher, Jason Kendall; first base, Gary Jones; second base, Neil Walker; shortstop, O'Neal Cruz; third base, Pedro Alvarez; right field, Bobby Bonilla; center field, Andrew McCutchen; left field, Barry Bonds; and the pitching, Paul Skeens, Doug Dravac, Gary Cole, Mitch Keller, and Danny Nagel. The next thing that I'm going to cover is going to be the St. Louis Cardinals, because I also remember them. They were a team, I call them a slap hitting team, a team that stole bases. And I'm going to try to focus on certain players over there, but I already know that throughout the time, there's other players that will take those positions. For example, the Pirates, I remember Sid Bream, but I couldn't put Sid Bream because I watched them at the end of their career, and I remember him also with the Braves. And some of the Braves things that he did, I'm thinking of other teams' success, not with the Pirates' success. And that's all I got. Hopefully you like my video. Sorry, Pirates fans, but you guys had a great team. This year, I think they're gonna be good. I know a lot of teams, a lot of people are putting them in the bottom 10. I saw the CBS post, but I kind of disagree. But at the same time, it's hard to put teams to replace them, but I think they're going to be more competitive, more wins for the Pirates. Have a good day, and please subscribe. Thank you.